Welcome to La Jefa Experience, the place where moms in any stage of motherhood come to get tools, tips, and support to thrive as the CEO of their life and family. Hello, 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 Jefas all over the world. Welcome to La Jefa Experience. I am your host, ROCIO Cisco, and I am here with a very special guest today, my friend, Anat Peri. And I consider Anat to be a mentor because she has taught me so much about this personal development space. So I'm bringing her here to share her gifts and her knowledge with us today. So welcome, Anat. Welcome to La Jefa Experience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that we're actually in person and able to do this face to face and not just on Zoom. I'm so grateful that you're here with us.
Yeah, me too. Glad
Awesome.
it worked out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It was so perfect and so divine, very divine. So let's just get into it. We had decided that we were going to come here and have a conversation, and we didn't want to have an agenda for you guys. And we want to just jam today. So
yeah,
I did have something that I wanted to bring to the Jefas of the Jefa experience, because this is a community of moms that are trying to do all the things, right? And my purpose and my mission to bring this podcast to the Jefas is to teach them how to be the CEO of their life and their family. And a lot of that I cultivated and started by doing work with you. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that. I want you to give the audience just a little bio on your work and your gifts that you are bringing to the world, and the kind of stuff that you're doing, Anat.
Yeah, awesome. Please. So I am a transformational coach and healer. I've been in the self-development space for going on 17 years. And I spent about 8 years of those on my own journey doing a lot of mindset work. And I'm not judging mindset work. It's very important. My challenge with it was that it didn't go deep enough to really give me lasting transformation. And so I gained a lot of great tools and a lot of great awareness, but there was still so much deeper to go. So unfortunately for me, 8 years in, life still looked the same. I was still dealing with the same struggles, from being lost in my career to being in codependent relationship, having no self-love, and struggling financially. So I had a lot of awareness, but not a lot of transformation. So it took really hitting my own rock bottom about September will be 9 years ago, of my 5-year relationship coming to an abrupt end, and just leaving that life behind, leaving New York City behind, leaving everything that didn't feel in alignment, and buying a one-way ticket to California with $2,000 to my name. Ooh. No car, no job, no home, no plan, one friend, and here I am today, right?
Yeah.
It took that surrender. It took the I thought I had it all figured out, and clearly I don't know what's best for me, because at 32, that's where I was at. So I was ready to say, Jesus, universe, take the wheel, and really start to let things come to me and receive in that way, which really led me down a path of some plant medicine, some deeper understanding of what was at the root of my challenges, to meeting my mentor, who was a body-mind psychologist. It was my first experience of working with someone who brought the two together, because he met me and he was like, "You're different. You've done a lot of work. You have a lot of awareness." I'm like, yes, mindset work there. But being in my body and feeling through the feelings that are there, the sensations that are there, the experiences that I had, was new to me. Yeah. And that was my experience of real transformation. And it was in that moment that I realized all these years, I've only gotten to what I call stage one
Mm-hmm.
of the 5 stages of healing, which was awareness. And the experience of that is a lot of ahas. Um, it's very freeing when you become aware of something that you weren't aware of.
It is.
I mean, freeing for a moment, and then there's the reality of like, what do I do with this?
Right.
Um, and I always thought that that was it. Like you become aware and then you just declare like, nope, I'm going to be this instead. And that's it. And I didn't know that I was trimming weeds and that I wasn't getting to the root of it.
Yeah.
And after working with him, I realized that transformation is not a walk in the park on a beautiful, sunny San Clemente day.
By the way, perfect weather in the entire world, the best
Yes,
weather in the entire
it
world.
is. Transformation is a walk through a burning forest, and there's a dragon to
Oof.
slay. And then on the other side of that, there's the rainbow. But
Mm,
meaning there was just, you got to be willing to feel through all the things that you never wanted to happen to you that did happen to you, to grieve it, to scream it, to cry it, to
mm,
shake it. And, that's the only way to really move through it and gain your power back. And so, that after that experience, I felt a connection to myself. I
mm-hmm.
felt that I was ready to support others in this. I still gave myself another about 6 months to literally just go play. I bought a ticket to Maui. I quit my job and just was like, my inner child wants to play, just
Yeah.
play, play, play. And then I was ready. I was ready to create something where I knew after 10 years, I had tools that could help people get to what it took me up until this point to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not, I say I'm a healer and I am. We are all healers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to heal you.
Yeah.
ROCIO, I didn't heal you.
Mm-hmm.
I just held space for you and reminded you and brought you back to that remembrance of the healer within you,
Yeah.
the power within you. We all up until that point experience ourselves powerless in some area of our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, especially those of you listening that have been on the journey of self developing and life still hasn't changed. And it's frustrating to know that you're willing to give your time, your efforts, your money at times, to self improve, yet it's not working.
Yeah.
So, that was my experience after my first 8 years. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
All this time, all this effort, and life still looks like I'm just tired. It's exhausting to always, trim weeds
Yes.
when you want a transformed garden.
Yes.
And so, the experience could be very disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to shed light on um, what's been missing and why. And I'd love to get into that in this conversation of like, what are the stages,
Yeah.
and reinvigorate for those of you that maybe have given up and settled and thought this is as good as it could get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And reinvigorate the possibility for you that you can gain your full power back
Totally.
and that you can live the life of your creation.
Yeah.
And that you don't need to be limited by anything from your past.
Totally. I love that so much. And that's truthfully, that's really what I wanted to get to for the moms listening, because I'm obviously in it. I know that you're looking to be in motherhood too in the
Yeah.
future. And I've recognized the importance of it. I know people say that you can't learn how to be a mom and any of that, but what you can do is learn how to be you and really understand yourself, right? And the fact that I did this kind of work with you before I became a mom was huge,
Mhm.
huge for me. And I'm not perfect. I always say I never claim to be, and I'm in it and I'm integrating, and still like the awareness, integration, all of those things. And it's a wild ride in motherhood because you're dealing with someone else's, another
Mhm.
sovereign being's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
and they're picking things up from you, and just being aware is helps so much. So I wanted to also get into that with you, and I believe it's a great place to start with the 5 stages
Yeah.
and what you teach, because you heavily focus on the relationship with mom and dad in your programs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was mind blowing to me. And that freed me going through that and being like, oh my God, this isn't my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This makes so much sense. I felt like a sense of freedom that I had never felt before. And like you said, going from powerless to powerful,
Mm-hmm.
I left your retreat feeling like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, I this is who I always knew I
Yeah.
was. So if we can just touch on that, like the 5 steps, and then even the mother wound, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
please, yeah.
Yeah. So what I call the 5 stages of healing, or the 5 stages of transformation. Stage 1 we touched upon, which is awareness. It's what brings you to pick up a book, or sometimes to listen to a podcast, or to take a course, is that you become aware of something that you want to be different. And it's an important first step to
Yeah.
acknowledge that. But stage 2 is acceptance. And the context I want to give people for acceptance is it's much grander than what you think. Because a lot of times when we have something that we're not satisfied with,
Mm-hmm.
or we have a feeling that we want to go away, like I'm anxious, I just, like I'm always anxious. How do I stop being anxious?
Yeah.
And your desire to stop it, to want it to be different, is already you not accepting it.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's very tricky.
Yeah.
And the identity is going to fight you in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so it's either that it's really takes something to accept that this is happening, and that you're not here to fix it. You're here to learn how to really be with it. So much so that your nervous system builds its capacity to integrate it, where it's where it's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay to be a part of you.
Yeah. Mm.
And sometimes acceptance is, well, something that happened to you in your past, and the way you dealt with it was to compartmentalize it and to say, well, dad was a jerk, or mom was this, and so I'm just, I'm not going to talk to them anymore. Or
Mm.
you create some way to survive it. And so having to now accept it means that the identity you created around that may lose its power. And that
Mhm.
identity, that's the dragon, guys, does not want to go down without a fight, that
Yeah.
you may actually have to rekindle your relationship. You may have to forgive them, forgive yourself for something.
Totally.
And so acceptance is all of that. And at times people can do it on their own. And a lot of times this is where they need the hand holding.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you find that most people get stuck here?
Mm-hmm.
Got
Yes.
it.
Yeah. And I think in the world of self-development, most people most people skip this step,
Mm. Mm.
for the most part, unconsciously,
Got it. Yeah.
like not aware that this is a step,
Yeah.
that if you skip it, you can't skip it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're getting stuck there. And that was me for a long time. You become aware of something, and you, instead of accepting it. So I'll give my own story example here. My father worked 16 hours a day running a hotel when I was a little girl.
Mhm.
And I'll weave this in now. The role that a father plays in a child's life, whether you're a daughter or a son, is that's your first experience of something outside of you
Mhm.
loving you.
Mhm.
Mom's love grew over 9 months, and that energy felt very familiar when you came out and she held you. It felt like home. It felt like you.
Yeah.
And so mom in that moment became the role model for self, everything related to yourself. You don't see mom as separate. Mom is me, I am mom.
Yeah.
But daddy picks you up the first time, and he's prideful. As he should be. Well, and there's also the like, it only becomes real in that moment
When they're out.
when they're
In the
out. Like they
world.
see the belly growing, they may feel the kick, but
Totally.
for a man, until he holds you, it doesn't fully click.
Yep.
And then it does, and there's this, I created this. There's a little bit of pride,
Totally.
and there's so much love.
Yeah.
There's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you as the baby are experiencing this ecstasy
Yep.
from that feels different than mom, because mom had 9 months. Hers was more like, slow process. This was like a train.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
And you love it. I mean, it's a very high vibration. And so dad in that moment becomes your source of love. This is love. This is something, this feeling. I want more of this feeling. And this feeling is not me. It's not familiar to me. It's something that's not me. And in that moment, dad becomes everything that's not me. Dad's the heart. Dad's your connection to others, relationship with others, courage, vulnerability, and relationship with the ultimate father, God, the universe.
Yes.
Because mom, it's like mom's an extension. Mom's, you in that moment think mom's always going to be here. Mom is me.
Yeah.
Dad is like, every time dad comes back in the room, you're like, oh, this thing does come back. There is a world outside of me. And so circling back to my story of my dad working 16 hours a day, running a hotel, 16 hours. So that's like 6 a.m. home at 10 p.m., do it all over again.
Wow.
So very little time with little Anat.
Yeah.
And how that impacted me was love's not always there.
Yeah.
And others are more important, and you're invisible, and your needs don't matter. Those are some of the beliefs that I uncovered when I started to explore this. And I created a way to survive it, because as humans, we always seek some way to survive.
Yeah.
And that was as young as as old as I could be, to help daddy.
Yeah.
Whenever he started working from home in the later years, because it wasn't the hotel. My dad still loves to work.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
And I just started to work with him to help him out, whether it's like, put the paper clips here, or, file this here. I was, probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
All the way into like college. I always, And I created this illusion, this fantasy of the relationship that I had with him. I'm a daddy's girl. Yeah. Yeah.
So was working with him a way for you to feel seen by him?
Yeah, to think that I'm actually spending time with him.
Got it. Got it. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
And I didn't uncover this until 9 years ago, until I came out of the 5-year relationship, and I had a coach ask me, I want you to come up with 10 loving moments with men in your life, starting with your father. And I couldn't think of any with my dad. And I was like, I just remember car rides to my grandparents' house, watching him play soccer with my older brother, and playing with me at the beach. And I'm like, and so really out of those 3, it's only one of those was just with me. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, what do you remember about our time together when we were young? And he said the same 3 things. And I was like, whoa. Yeah.
Whoa,
and so the reality is I created this fantasy relationship so that I wouldn't have to feel that and grieve that. And so I never did grieve it. And so I carried it into every relationship, every romantic relationship, because if dad is my role model for what love looks like,
Yeah.
then this is love. So from my first boyfriend in high school who loved playing video games, as high school boys do, and sometimes would sit there and play, and instead of going home, which is what I should have done, I'd sit there and watch him. I'd clean the room, I'd make us something to eat. I was invisible, but
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
thinking that he's spending that quality time with me. Yeah, and so I didn't see that pattern, and this is where again we have experiences,
Yeah.
and they create our script, and then we just repeat that, and it wasn't who I am or was.
Yeah.
It was what I learned. It
Yeah.
was what was modeled to me in those moments.
Yeah. Wow. That is powerful. And how it follows us, right? How it follows us through. I think you had mentioned, and you used the analogy of the movie, the director, the
Mm-hmm.
actor, and
Mm-hmm.
how we look for people to fill those parts.
Yeah. We will go with what's familiar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what was familiar was men who are emotionally unavailable and, put other things first.
Totally.
That's love.
Totally. Oh
Or
my
you
God.
see women that are in abusive relationships, and they leave that relationship to then go into another abusive relationship because it's familiar in their
Yeah.
nervous system. It's like this is what they've been programmed
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. That is an example of, because we're talking about acceptance, right? That's an
Mm-hmm.
example of staying with the familiar. And I
Mm-hmm.
know the other side of it is you look for something completely different, but it's still not you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're
Yes.
rebelling against
Yes.
what you're familiar with.
Yeah. There is really you either copy or
Mm,
you rebel. Yeah.
got it.
Or you create a way to survive it, and that becomes your survival mechanism
Yeah.
for it. But thank you for circling back. I was like, I went off on this tangent.
Oh no, I
Great
love it.
one. But what were we talking about before?
Oh,
Yes, acceptance.
yeah.
All right. Having to accept this part, or this experience with my dad, this reality, meant a whole lot of grieving,
Yeah.
a whole lot of heartache, a whole lot of crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole lot of sadness that was there that I didn't know. Um, I just remembered tying it back when I had this realization when this coach asked me this question. I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. I always thought I had just, issues with my mom because mom and I would butt
Mm,
heads, but
mm-hmm.
daddy and I were great, of course, because hey, we all put our dad on a pedestal because he is your source of love, and either he lives up to it or he breaks your heart.
Yeah.
He broke mine, but I created a fantasy.
Yeah.
Right. So when I had that realization, the level of training that I had was all mindset work. And so again, I went to the mind and said, oh, well, daddy loved me though. He was just doing what he needed to do to provide for the family. And I can now work on having a great relationship with him. That was my solution.
Yeah.
So I didn't even see that there was something to accept here.
Yeah.
It was awareness, logic
Oh yeah.
and then action.
Yeah.
And so I remember calling my dad up, having this conversation with him. And then they were coming out to visit me in California. And I'm like, great, I'll just I'll just start talking to my dad more and spending more time with him. The fixing.
Yeah.
And so this is so common in self-development
Yeah.
for a lot of us, is the trimming of the weed. And that's what I did.
Whew.
And it didn't make a difference. You can't skip those middle steps.
Yeah.
So for those of you that have logicked your way out of something to feel better,
Mm.
the only way to feel better is to get better at feeling it.
Mm.
But if you've logicked your way, now you know why it's still there, because you only trim the weed. So there is hope for you, but you got to get back on the train.
Oh yeah.
And stage 2, time to accept. And what does accepting this bring up for you? Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I just had a download the other day
Uh-huh.
that I have trimmed the weed with my daddy.
Mm,
And there is still a lot there to uncover because of what you just said. I always butted heads with my mom. She was the one.
yeah.
Daddy was perfect. He had his own things. And one of the things that you helped me see at the retreat was that my dad's an alcoholic. And
Mm.
I remember standing up there and you were like, Dad, your dad's an alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay. And you're like, the wall is white. Your dad's an alcoholic. Can you accept that? Are you
Yeah.
accepting that? And I'm like, he's an alcoholic. What do you mean? Like, I know that. And you're
Yeah.
like, can you think of any time or anything else that your dad is? He's sweet. He's this, he's that. But you keep reverting to the fact that he's just an alcoholic and you're not seeing and accepting the good parts of him.
Yeah.
And that was a big aha moment for me. And then I realized a couple days ago, it's tying into my money relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's weeds there. There's
Mm-hmm.
roots that I haven't pulled out
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm just cutting the weed.
Yeah.
So similar thing with what you're talking about with your dad and your mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so ladies, this is something that I worked with Anat in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
True testament to when you only cut the weeds, it's going to show up in other ways and
Yeah.
continue to show up in your life.
Yeah. There's layers to it.
So
There
many.
are.
Yeah.
But when you're equipped with the tools,
Yeah.
then you're equipped. I always tell people this isn't a like one and done thing, just like a garden.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you clear the weeds and you plant the vegetables that you want and the flowers that you want, you got to keep tending to it.
Yeah. Yep.
And a storm may come,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to really tend to it. And so it's about having the right tools and building that emotional resiliency.
Yes. I love that word.
And what I mean by that is building up your nervous system's capacity to be with anything that life hands you, because life is going to continue to hand us stuff.
Yep. And life's going to go on.
Life is going to go on, like I said, and at times it's stormy.
Yeah.
And your flowers didn't ask for that.
Yep.
But that's what happened. And it's like, can you be with what arises for you from that in a way that you can move through it?
Yeah.
Because see, trauma is any experience that your nervous system did not have the capacity to be with and process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's this open loop that then got diverted to something,
Yeah.
right? Like this happened and I decided, like daddy was this way and I decided, well, I'll just be the fly on the wall. I'll just work. I'll just help him.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know to do was to share with my dad, Daddy, I miss you.
Yeah.
And when you're always working, I feel alone and I don't feel your love.
Yeah.
And what I'd really love is if we spent more quality time together.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I carried that on into romantic relationships. It took me until my current relationship with my fiance to learn how to be vulnerable and to express my needs, and from vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I want to distinguish this. Moms, this, you're intuitive with your kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You feel it, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Are dads that way?
Nope.
No. There is a connection that you have.
Yeah.
And dads don't have that connection.
Totally.
And so Santi, your son, can come to you and say, you didn't give me that, I need that, and you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
And he can do that with dad, and dad may not know what to do. A lot of times when I'm working with clients and they want to close this loop with dad, they think the solution is to tell dad what he did wrong.
Mm. We all do that.
Yeah, daddy,
Yeah.
you're not, or what you're not doing. You're not spending time with me. You're always working. And if I said that to my dad, sure, it may shake him for a sec, but it's not going to connect us back.
Yeah.
Your connection to dad is through the heart.
Mm.
Your connection to mom is just the self. It's
Yeah.
just it's just there. It's intuitive.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that we bring these men who are busy trying to,
Provide.
provide.
Yeah.
That's what my dad was doing,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
Um, Out of their head, back into their heart,
Mm. So true.
for them to feel you,
Yeah.
just like, because you could feel Santi
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
to feel your experience. And so instead of saying, Daddy, you never spend time with me, you're always working, which is, I don't think Dad's going to get defensive around it, but he's only going to want to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you say, Dad, when you're always working and we don't have time together, I feel sad. I feel alone
Mm-hmm.
and I miss you. Oh, what is that going to do?
Break his heart
Yeah,
in a good way. He's going to get him to feel.
Yes, he's going to feel the impact of
Yeah.
his lack of presence
Yeah.
and what you actually need from him. And then to say from there, what I really, if spending time with you would make me feel happy.
Yeah.
Can we go to, if we went to the park every day together, if you just sat with me, like give them direction. And ladies, this is the same thing you need to do with your husbands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They need us to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're complaining to your husband, then he's getting defensive.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
You want to drop him into his heart because then he's open to receiving what your needs are.
Yeah.
You can't just tell him, I need you to ...
Yeah.
You have to lead with sharing with them how you feel, or showing them, emoting how you feel.
Yeah.
Because then they're in their heart's open, and you got the keys to the kingdom in that moment.
Oh
You
yeah.
could drive this thing anywhere you want.
Yeah.
But that's the key. And it was something that it took me a very long time to learn. A very, very long time.
Yeah. That's very potent. Ladies, you better have your journals out, taking all
let's
notes.
all take a
Like,
breath.
oh
for
my God, that
one.
was heavy. So heavy. I mean, and I'm sure that most of us can relate to that. I mean, I don't want to take us on another tangent yet. This is the world we live in. I think we're seeing
Yeah.
the repercussions of that now
Yeah.
with the masculine, with men in the
Yeah.
world.
And with us women, where we didn't know how to lead from our feminine energy.
Yes.
And soften more and show more, and then ask and receive. And instead, we put on, we strapped our boots on
Yes.
and everything. And we figured, well, I'll just meet him where he's at. I'll just go help daddy.
Yeah.
I'll just go work around dad. And I've been living my life in the masculine. And yes, it served me in certain ways. I am a successful entrepreneur. I do have, a lot of willpower and all that, and drive.
Yeah.
But I've had to really learn how to soften and to let men in. I mean, my fiance, for first 2 years of our relationship, he was just like, just be yourself, just be vulnerable, just be yourself, just be vulnerable. And thank God he was so patient with me.
Cheers to Edwin for being able to ask you to do that too, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, it was, he could just sense, that I wasn't, because for me, I definitely took on being the people pleaser. I didn't want to rock the boat. I just wanted, no matter what, for love to be there.
mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, It's interesting though, because now he'll, he misses those early days of how we were, because I basically said yes to anything and everything that he
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
And ladies, that's the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're, I think, all working to shed, self included. And, those of you that don't know what the patriarchy is, you could definitely Google and look up a lot about it. But I'll summarize it with, us women losing our voices. And that's what I did the first 2 years. I didn't speak up. I didn't speak my truth. I didn't say no and like, I don't really want to do this. Let's do this instead.
Mm-hmm.
And where men, for them, they think that their whole role is to lead and provide and, and direct. And it is, but taking into account what the woman needs as
Yeah.
opposed to them driving it from their ego.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there was a part for Edwin where he was really comfortable because and things were easy and fun because he thought that like he was doing everything great.
Yeah.
But there's a moment that the woman needs to shake him up and out of his unconsciousness
Yeah.
and bring him to the king that he can really be.
Yeah.
And so because men could become controlling,
Yeah.
dominating, um, and the woman is then submissive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's unconscious. Again, it is the patriarchy,
Yeah.
and it's just what it's been for so long that we accept it and think this is the way it is. And
Yeah.
the man should be in his masculine and the woman should be in her feminine all the time.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, instead of how, one of my mentors shifted it from the masculine and the feminine to the alpha and the omega, and that we both have both.
Yep.
And it's so important for this world to transcend out of where it's at right now,
Yeah.
that we integrate both and that we
Totally.
allow both. And so, I have a very masculine, driven partner
Mm-hmm.
who has softened, has learned to become more compassionate and receptive to my requests, my needs.
Yeah.
And I've learned to soften in how I ask for what I need and
Oh
how I
yeah.
present myself. So I think the world right now needs both men and women to step more into their feminine and their masculine.
Yep.
Because then there's men who have learned to be submissive
Yeah.
all the time.
Totally. Totally. And along with that, women who are not in their body and feeling their divine feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I believe we are today, where the man is, we're knocking down the masculine because I mean, we didn't knock them down. Let me repeat that. It's imploding. The
It is.
masculine energy is like imploding, and it's a lot of toxic masculine energy that has
Yes.
imploded. And we've turned it around, like you said, perfect analogy, strapping on the boots, let me go and do the work. And it's a lot of masculine energy still
Yeah.
from women.
Yeah.
But where's the feminine, right? Like this feminist uproar and uprising right now, I believe is a lot of masculine energy still. And there is feminine energy in there, and a lot of women that are tapping into their feminine energy, but it's not a harmony and it's not harmonized yet.
Yeah. Again, I think there's room for each individual to take ownership and responsibility for their role.
Yeah.
And that we surrender the blaming or the shaming of men that may still be in their toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And that we bring more compassion and
Grace.
nurture, grace, and like championing them.
Yeah.
Like, I champion you for this. I
Yeah.
believe in you, and I'm not willing to hold this anymore.
Yeah.
I need this
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
I get to receive, I get to soften,
Yeah.
and you get to rise up.
Yeah. Because that's the only way they will rise up, is for us to hold that standard, right? And allow them to.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
the shaming and blaming
Yeah. Well, that's
stunts.
listen, that's the toxic feminine, right? The
Totally.
wounded feminine, the damsel in distress of like, you need to save me. You need to rise up. You need to do this for us, instead of, ladies, we get to learn to mother ourselves the way that we never got mothered,
Yes.
to have that self-love, and to claim our seat
Yeah.
on the throne,
Yes.
and to start operating as that queen.
Yeah.
And it's not an overnight thing,
Mm-mm.
it's a journey.
Yeah.
This has been my journey, particularly in the past year, and really in the past like 2 months, everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I run a multiple six-figure company,
Yeah.
right? I'm the founder.
Yeah.
I created the baby.
Yeah.
I have a lot of the ideas, so I have been driving it. And I have a male co-leader,
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
He's my co-facilitator. He's my CEO.
Yeah.
And even though he has the title of CEO, only in the past 2 months have I really relinquished that to him,
Yeah.
because I've definitely in the past year still operated as me as the CEO.
Yeah.
Um, in decision making, in strategizing, in being a part of everything. And I just don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I get to receive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's important for me. And it's important for my romantic relationship. It's important for that. And it's important for the role that I want to step into, which is
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
wife, motherhood. Is, yeah, I get to have the business.
Yeah.
And if you imagine a queen of a kingdom, people come to her, they present things to her, and she approves them
Yeah.
or declines,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I'm finally experiencing that in my business now. I'm
That's
not a
right.
part of everything. I only do the things that I love, like podcasting. And facilitating. But I not only have Chris, what's been interesting and showing up as I've just owned, I get to receive.
Yeah.
I'm no longer doing or figuring it all out. As I've had some of my facilitators in training
Yeah.
approach me and say, like, every week there's someone coming and saying, hey, I have this idea. Or hey, do you need support with your social media? Or someone coming to me and
Mm.
saying, I want to support in this way. And my response every time has been, yes, I receive. Yes, I receive.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
You've opened up the portal.
I've opened up the portal. Yeah, I even had one of my facilitators. She's like, can I run a training on the neuroscience of trauma for the other facilitators? I was like, yeah, sure. So she did the training the other day, and I mean, I already knew all this stuff, but seeing how powerful it was for everyone else, I said to her, this was awesome. Do you think you could refine your presentation? Because she was pulling it from like 5 different presentations that she does this for a living.
Yeah.
And create it so we can bring it to our clients and give them that background. And she's like, yeah, I could totally do that. And I caught myself wanting to say next, because this was me 6 months ago. Yeah, and we can work on it together.
Mm.
And, and then put it out.
Yeah.
And I caught myself going there, and I was like, no, not. And I said to her instead, Reach out to the facilitators that were on the call today that love this and see if any of them have feedback for you or want to support you in refining this to fit for training camp for the soul.
Yeah.
And then come to me with the finished product.
Yep.
And I was like, that's how the queen speaks.
Yep.
In this area. So anyway, we are down some beautiful, beautiful rabbit holes.
We
here.
are, and I'm going to take you back, but I do want to mention something.
Yeah.
I want to mention and reference this. That is being the CEO. That is really, and that doing those things and practicing and integrating that is what Jefa, being a Jefa is. Because when you are in motherhood,
yeah,
you're going to be able to do that in motherhood too, leaving your baby with someone so that you can go take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're creating space for you to do the things that you're inspired by, as you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Because you know that you don't have to do all the other things. Surrendering, right? I've surrendered to leaving my son at a daycare so that I could go work out, or leaving him and trusting my mother-in-law or my mom to take care of him so that I can go out on the town with my husband. Similar things, right? You're trusting and you're surrendering to that so that you can go do the things that fill your soul. Amazing.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. I want to circle back around to we are on acceptance.
Oh, okay. Yes.
We could finish the 5.
And, we're good. I love when it's weaved in this way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you guys got acceptance now, right? It's either accepting it and feeling it, or accepting the experience of, hey, yeah, I was abused, or mom and dad did get divorced, and then feeling what it was like. Yeah, to experience that, which will lead you into stage 3, which is getting to the root of it, the cause and effect, and the root of it lives in our physical body. Some of you may have heard the book "The Body Keeps the Score," but yeah, your traumas, your issues are in your tissues, as they say, and awesome. The cellular memory is there. A lot of times, if we've had traumatic experiences, our mind blocks it out. So we may not remember much about our childhood. Yeah. But the energy is there, and it's stored somewhere in your tissues, whether it's your fascia or deeper or energetic in your solar plex, in your heart. And so it's so important that we accept it, so that we can tap back into, where in my body am I holding this? Where am I feeling this? Because a lot of times when you accept it, you give yourself permission to revisit that experience for a sec, or that belief that you had, or that experience. Like, yeah, Anat, dad did not spend much time with you. Yeah, he was not around for you. Yeah. And having to grieve and feel that. Right. And so stage 3 is also about how you relate to your emotions. So a lot of times, or most of us, relate to our emotions as good emotions, bad emotions. I'm happy, I'm horny. Yes, more of that, please. Yeah. I'm, anxious, I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm, confused, depressed. The list could go on. Yeah. How do I make these stop? How do I make these go away? Yeah. And so whatever you accept, and then you uncover the experience, the feeling of it, like, oh, this makes me really anxious, or this is so painful, ROCIO. Yeah. I invite you all to relate to it at the root of what it is. And at the root of it, it is sensation. Yeah. It is energy, right? Your emotions are energy in motion. When those emotions are expressed, and when they're not, that energy gets stuck. And so relating to it at the level of felt sensation. Yeah. Because excitement, for example, excitement and anxiety feel the same in the body. Yeah. What's the difference? What context you give for it. So if you're walking down the aisle about to marry your hubby, right? Yeah. You're feeling it, and you call it butterflies in my stomach, and I'm excited. Yeah. And if your boss calls you into the office and says, we need to have a talk, You have the same sensations, but you call it more of like a fast windstorm
Yeah.
inside of you. And you say, I'm really scared. I'm really
Yeah.
anxious.
Yep.
But the sensation's the same.
Yep.
And so get away from the label and get curious about how it feels. So, where in your body are you experiencing this excitement or this sadness or this anxiousness?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in my solar plex. Great. Does it have a size,
Yeah.
a shape, a temperature, a color, a texture?
Yeah.
Is it heavy? Is it light? And then your whole job is just to observe it with loving awareness.
Mm.
Nothing to change, nothing to fix,
Yeah.
just loving awareness. Because, ladies, you know this better than anyone. Your bodies are fucking brilliant, right? When that baby was growing in you, you're like, what? How it, like, this is a miracle.
Wild.
Wild. And
Yeah.
how much thought did you have to give to it?
Nothing. The
None.
body knows what to
The
do.
body knows what to do.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You know, when you cut your finger or you burn yourself, you experience what we label as ouch pain
Yeah.
and a strong sensation.
Yeah.
And we put ice or ointment on it. That's not what's doing the healing. The body is.
Yep.
And I believe that the reason that there is that strong ouch, that strong sensation,
Yeah.
is to signal to the body this area needs our healing.
It's there.
It's
Yeah.
there. Challenge with our emotions is that we've learned to override it, to logic our way, to disconnect, to not live in our bodies,
Yeah.
to disassociate.
Yeah.
And so you've turned off that signal to the body. And so by sitting with it, by observing where it is, what the felt sensations is, getting curious, labeling it in as many different words as you can give it,
Yeah.
staying with it, the body will start to integrate it.
Nice. And when just to be clear, when you say loving awareness, it
Mhm.
means no judgment
No
of
judgment.
what you're feeling,
Yeah.
where you're feeling it.
Yeah. I'll give you guys another metaphor. You're going to love this because you're all moms. So your emotions is also your inner child. Okay. So all you moms, when your kid or your baby is in the room, comes into the room. So that's what you want to imagine, that when you feel anxious
Yeah.
or sad or angry, I want you to picture, ROCIO, that it's little Santi
Yeah.
that's coming into the room and saying, Mommy, I feel sad.
Yep.
What does that little boy need?
Yeah.
Does he need you to start asking him, why are you sad? Why do you think you're sad? Or does he need your judgment, which we do this to ourselves? Our inner critic takes over
Yep.
and, and says, well, that's because you're a loser or because you
Mm-hmm.
don't matter or it's because nobody likes you.
Or you don't accept. No, you're not sad. You're not sad. You're
Yeah.
okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah. What happens when you do that to Santi?
Oh my God. He gets even more like,
Yeah, more because he just wants and needs you to attune to him and to create that safety bubble for him again, for him to move this energy.
yeah.
And when we do that with our kids, and I've seen my sister do this with my nephew, and you just say, it's okay. I'm here.
Mm, so
Yep,
powerful.
you can feel this.
Mm-hmm.
They move through it in about 90 seconds. And then they're like, Mommy, let's go play.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot.
Yeah.
We forgot how to move energy.
And that's so potent to even mention right now to the Jefas listening. The way you want to parent your child is the way that you should parent yourself.
Your inner child.
Your
Exactly.
inner child.
Yep.
Right. So like one of the biggest things that I've learned lately is as a mom, I don't have to engage in his feelings. I'm there to hold space. I'm holding the space for Santi. So if he's upset or anxious or whatever, I get to just sit there and be like, I'm there. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel this way.
Yes.
I'm here for you.
Yep.
and I don't have to try to fix it. Cause I think most moms
Mhm.
want to be like, what's wrong? Why? What's going on? What do you need? What do you need? Like we want to fix it and just put a
Yeah.
band-aid on it. But that
Yeah.
just creates more anxiousness and more.
It bottles up more, and then they end up having this like tantrum.
Yes. Yes. It exaggerates the tantrum and makes it
Yeah.
longer and much more
Yeah.
explosive.
And it's the same thing for us. If you are feeling anxious and you're like, I don't want to feel this anymore. How do I stop feeling this? And then the next day you're like, oh my God, it's even bigger and worse. Same
Yeah.
thing. So again, relate to your emotions as your own
Great.
inner child and give that inner child what you would give your child, right?
Hold
Hold
space.
hold
Yeah.
space. Sometimes pick her up, hold her, give her a hug and say, it's okay.
Yep.
It's okay. You're scared. I love you. I'm here. And then reassure her. What would she need to hear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way to view it. And that's stage 3.
Yep.
Which leads us to stage 4, which is the releasing and replacing.
Yeah.
And so the body releases in many ways. Some of these may surprise you. Yawning is a form of release.
Mm-hmm.
So ladies, when you think it's because you're tired, unless you were up all night feeding your kid, this is you releasing. And I mean yawning where it's consistent. You'll be yawning nonstop,
Yeah.
big yawns.
Yeah.
That's your nervous system releasing, down regulating. Burping is a form of release.
Yeah.
And I don't mean because you just had a soda.
Yeah.
Laughing is a fun one.
Yeah.
It's a form of release. Crying. I mean, wouldn't you be concerned if your baby went a day without crying or laughing?
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah.
So same thing. Crying is such a powerful form of
Oh yeah.
moving energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes catharsis. Sometimes you need to have that good scream. The other ones are shaking, tremoring. If you notice your body starts to tremor and shake, don't
Yeah.
stop it. Go
Yeah.
with it. Ride it.
Yeah.
That is a very powerful form of tension being released
Yeah.
from the body, from the nervous system. And then hot and cold flashes, getting really hot. So, like I said, the body's going to know what to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll just dissipate
Yeah.
depending on how big it was. But your whole job is just to be so present, laser focus on wherever you're feeling it. Just like your child would need you to be so present with them. Loving awareness, I'm here for as long as you need.
Yep.
And then you just stay curious about how it changes form, shape, color, texture, temperature, size. And obviously there's layers to this too, right? Like
Yeah.
when you go through my work, when I work with clients, we are being proactive, not just reactive. This
Yes.
is how to use a tool in the moment.
Yes.
But if you're being proactive and like, let's go uncover your script.
Yeah.
Let's go look at what you learned from mom and dad in the 5 areas of childhood development. This is what we do. We look at self-esteem. We look at your ability to express your needs and wants.
Yeah.
Ask for what you need and want. Give yourself what you need and want. Limits and boundaries with yourself and others. Responsibility, connection to yourself and others. So we're being proactive about it,
Yeah.
which means we have to then look at, well, what did you learn? What did you learn from mom? What did mom model to you? Do you remember a time?
Yeah.
And so, that stage 3 of looking at like the root cause and effect
Yeah.
is much more guided until you've developed that practice enough where you can guide yourself there.
Yeah. Because
Um,
it is a practice. It
yeah.
is.
Yeah. Just like, you get better with tools with tending to a physical garden.
Yep.
So the releasing then happens, and then there's replacing, which is another place that I find in self-development people stop. I have clients that have done what's called shadow work or inner child healing work.
Yeah.
And so they have felt the feels.
Yeah.
They have moved the energy, but they didn't necessarily realize the importance of now replacing it with something new, a
Yeah.
new belief, what's possible and available now that wasn't before.
Yeah.
It's like if you clear the weed from the garden
Yeah.
by the root, plant a new seed there.
Mm-hmm.
So the importance of making that new declaration,
Yeah.
of editing the script and putting in what you really want. So that's stage 4. And then there's stage 5, which is integration and education.
Mm-hmm.
And the integration is making real what you just planted in there, bringing it into action.
Yeah.
So if you made this new declaration, well, you need to go start acting like it.
Yeah.
Your behavior has to start to align to it.
Embodiment.
Yeah, the embodiment will happen
Yeah.
through repetition. So you plant a new seed in a garden. If you walk away in that moment and you don't pour water on it, it's not going to germinate and grow.
Yeah.
So it's so important that we water the seed. And so your water is you taking action. So if you have a new declaration of I am healthy,
Yep.
well, an action could be going to your fridge, cleaning out all the junk.
Mm-hmm.
Another action could be joining a gym.
Yep.
Going for a walk every day.
Yep.
Right. So it's either a behavior that needs to stop for this to be true, and behaviors that you get to now bring in to embody this new role, this new identity.
Yep.
And so that's the integration. Now, the education part is, well, what if you declare something that you have no idea how to be? That was me.
Yeah.
I am vulnerable. And I'm like, okay, cool. I know what that word means, but I don't have a framework for this.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this actually fully could look like.
Yeah.
It's just like actors, if an actor's always played comedy and then he gets the opportunity to play a psycho
Yeah.
in a movie, they're not just going and reading scripts. They spend months studying, researching psychopaths, looking at their body language, their tone.
Yeah.
They have to really get into character here.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing that if you don't naturally know because it's not a role that was ever modeled to you,
Yeah.
then you may and you may not, and you don't see it modeled. Like, obviously, I am healthy. It's modeled to us everywhere what that looks like. But I am vulnerable.
Yeah.
I am intimate. What does that look like?
Totally.
I'm still on that journey.
Yeah.
And so this is where educating yourself, this is where picking up a book about intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
there's room for it to land.
Yeah. And also too, looking for coaching, right? Like, I think that that's so powerful.
The specific coaches. That's what my partner and I did. We went to an
Yes.
intimacy retreat.
Yes.
So we specifically learned the tools and practices
Yes.
for intimacy.
Beautiful.
The challenge is when people go from stage 1 awareness to stage 5. Like, oh, my partner says that I'm always in my masculine. I need to learn how to be more feminine. I'm going to go pick up a book on femininity.
Yes.
And then you wonder why this book is brilliant. You now have the knowledge, but you still can't make the shift. Because it's like going to the garden store and picking up all the seeds of what you want.
Yeah.
But if you don't clear out the weeds, there's no room for it.
Yeah.
Like, and if you have beliefs like, don't trust men, others will hurt you, you're not safe.
Yep.
Then there's no way that you can integrate eye gazing and softening and letting a man take the lead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so this is what I mean by transformation requires you to move through all 5 stages. Then you have the opportunity to embody a new way of being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A new identity.
A new identity. So for those of you listening, check in. Where did you drop off? Or what stage did you skip? And now you know. Now you know that it is possible. It's just you skipped this step.
Yeah.
You didn't know how to move through this stage.
Yeah. And that's so much more common nowadays because of the massive amount of information that is available to all of us.
Yeah.
I'm still in the process of, like, I find myself listening to a new podcast every day and I'm like, whoa, either I'm aware of it or Angela will be like, babe, what the hell's going on? I've heard you, I've seen you like listening to all these podcasts. What are you looking for that you don't already have? And I'm like, oh man, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Information overload.
Yeah.
So go back to the basics of integration of what we're working on right now.
Yeah. And what's at the root of it?
Yeah.
What's at the root of it? What am I believing that keeps me behaving this way?
Yeah.
Clear that out so that you could then choose who you want to be.
Yeah. And by the way, that's where my download came from in the last couple of days and weeks because of that. Because I'm like, okay, information overload. Let me go back to the basics. What is going on here? Oh, I just trimmed the weed for my father, my daddy wound. Let me start diving back deeper into that. I've been looking at notes from the retreat and like all of the stuff that I've worked on. And I'm like, oh, got it. This is where I skipped the step.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what did dad model to you when it comes to making money? What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel he believed about money?
That there wasn't enough, lack of.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough. And
did he say it or did you hear it?
I saw him operate that way.
What did you see? I'm taking her there, guys.
Yeah, please. I saw him lose a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him worry about money a lot.
Mm-hmm. So what would you see?
He was an alcoholic, so he would spend money on alcohol.
And you'd see him sitting on the couch just drinking.
Yep.
And what did you feel from him?
He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't loving.
You'd feel him checked out.
Yes, he was checked out. Yes, that was a perfect word for it.
Yeah.
He was completely checked out, and I could tell he didn't love himself.
He was probably beating himself up.
Yeah.
Beating himself up that he's a failure.
Yes.
And at the same time, drinking so that he doesn't have to feel the punches that he's giving himself.
Yep. And I believe the relationship with my mom aided in that too. Just feeling punches and not feeling the love, right? Because he was attaching her love to his worth type of thing. Like I would see that, and that's more apparent to me than ever. So my mom didn't trust him with money. She had to go get a second job because he would lose the money. He would get paid on a Friday and then would come home. He got drunk, maybe got robbed somewhere or dropped his cash somewhere. And now she's like, well, what am I going to do about the rent? Type of thing. And he still has poor money management skills. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you feel? Has this imprinted you? What did you write into your script?
Lack. I'm terrified of not having enough.
So let me ask you something. Do you believe that's dad's energy or mom's energy? Do you think mom was terrified that there wasn't enough?
Both. Both. I definitely got it from both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but dad's way of coping with it was to drink. Do you turn to drinks?
No.
Okay. No. Mom's way of coping with it was what?
Go out and make the money. Go out and overdo. Get another job. Yeah. And that's been my surrender experiment in my relationship with Angelo. Yeah. Right. Where I am fine, like for the first time in 15 years, probably 20 years, I don't have a job. Yeah. Well, I do have a job. I have a full-time, right? And that having that conversation with you got me to see that this is a very important job.
The most important.
The most.
Yeah, raising a child.
Yeah, I'm bringing a human into this world and cultivating and co-creating with it. Yeah, with a human being in this world who's also going to bring his own gifts and talents to humanity. So yes, I do have a job. And that is something that I'm still working on letting go of. This is a very important job. I'm not going to a 9-to-5 getting a paycheck every week. And that's okay. This is where I want to be right now. Yeah. This is where I get to be.
Yeah. So what challenges you the most around all that?
the money of like seeing an actual paycheck get to a bank account and seeing that
Yeah.
is the shift
Yeah.
that I'm
Yeah. Cause mom didn't get to be that. Mom had to go and earn.
right,
Mom was not supported
right,
in that way. She
right.
had to carry all that weight for
Yep,
the whole family.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. So still like
There's layers.
there's so many layers, and I'm just like I'm aware of it now, and I'm like, oh, all right, let's get back to the basics. Like I said,
Yeah.
journaling, feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So I invite you to start with mom
Okay.
and look at what, because I actually feel that you're more um, w- what you're trapped in right now is what you learned from mom around
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah.
Um, you don't get to just be a mom
Yeah.
and you have to work.
Yeah.
That was mom. And so where I would invite you to look is, or to revisit, is what it was like for you, little Rocio,
Yeah.
to witness mom frantically having to go and get the other job and work and this and that and worry that there isn't enough.
Yeah.
What that felt like for little Rocio and what little Rocio needed from mommy
Yeah.
that she didn't get in those moments. And yeah,
Yeah.
explore from there.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited
Mm-hmm.
because I know like
Yeah.
moving through it is
Yeah.
going to bring me to
Yeah.
expansion.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
Freedom for sure.
Freedom.
Such
Absolutely.
freedom. It doesn't
Absolutely.
necessarily mean it's going to come in as money.
No,
It's
totally.
just going to be freedom to be
From
who
that belief.
you're, yeah, from that belief, from that energy, from
Yes.
needing. There's
Yes.
this energy of like, well, I can't just relax in this because what if we run out of money? So I should go get a
Yes.
job and da-da. Can you see? You're all in mom's energy.
Yes.
Mom.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm definitely going to keep diving deeper into it. Anyways, I know you got to be somewhere. And I want to give you the opportunity to talk about what's coming up for you and training camp for the soul.
Yeah, we have another 90-day of our virtual program. That is how we offer our work now. When Rocio worked with me, it was a intense 6-day immersion, rip the Band-Aid off
Oh
quickly.
yeah.
And then, since COVID, we really shifted our model more towards giving it to you in bite-sized pieces
Yep.
with plenty of support over a course of 90 days. And then if you want to go deeper, you can also come to a retreat. So we do have one kicking off September 9th.
Oh, soon.
And
Soon.
yeah, so anyone that's interested, you can go to trainingcampforthesoul.com and apply, have a friendly conversation with someone on our team and see if it's a fit. We're always willing to work with you financially to, wiggle and
Make it
make
work.
things, make it work. I just want people that are hell yes to have access to it now.
Mm,
We don't discount our work. We don't give scholarships. What we do is give generous payment plans when people need it.
yeah.
Because I don't want people to have to wait till they have the money.
Yeah.
So, and then if you're looking to connect with me, Instagram is where I hang out. I direct message every new follower because I really want to get to know you and why you are following me and how I can support you. And if you just want to hang out and get a bit of a taste of our tools, our Facebook community, the Freedom Tribe, Freedom Seekers.
Freedom
Sorry.
seekers.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay. Freedom Seekers Tribe. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Anat, I feel so full when you're around. I feel so, I love that energy that you bring. And thank you for bringing that energy to the Jefa community.
Yeah. Ladies,
I had been,
you are queens.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that's actually part of my closing. I tell my Jefas, as always,
Yeah.
you are powerful, you
Mhm.
are worthy, and you
Mhm.
already have what you need to stress less, love more, and be unstoppable. Thank you so much for being here,
Yeah.
Anat. Love
Thank
you
you.
so much. Love
Love
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Ciao.